It is common that people have things inserted into their data stream just for them, just to give them an experience. Most all the fear tests are that way. That's just the thing inserted in somebody's experience that is there just to see how they'll react to it, give them an opportunity to make choices. How do you choose to react? Do you choose to be fearful? Do you choose to not be fearful? So, yes, it's a common thing. It's a thing that we don't notice because we just get data and we interpret the data. Exactly where that data is coming from, you've probably heard me say before, we don't know exactly where that data is coming from. It may be just the server, that's serving up this virtual reality, just chugging on, doing its thing in this multiplayer game. And we're just part of that normal process. Or it may be that the system slips some things into us just to get a reaction, just to help us learn, to give us a particular boost for whatever reason. The system wants us to succeed because our success is its success. And it can do that. That's why sometimes there's 5 people standing on a balcony at midnight looking at the stars, and this big flying saucer comes down and lands in the yard, and the little people with green pointy ears wave to them, and then they get in their ship and they fly off, and all 5 of them will swear they saw exactly the same thing. You see, does that mean that a flying saucer actually came and landed there and did that? Not necessarily. It could be it just put that data in their minds. Now, it could have put the data just in one of their minds, and one of them would see it and the other ones wouldn't. But then that would create a different kind of set of choices for that individual. So, yes, the system can put whatever it wants to in our data stream because it's actually in charge. And it does that only because it's giving us something that'll be helpful to us, something that'll trigger something positive in us, some growth, give us an opportunity to see something from a better perspective. So yes, now, does it just do that to everybody all the time? No, it does that to what I call, I get this from the law enforcement perspective, from persons of interest, and persons of interest are people who are trying to grow up. They're people who are paying attention, who are interested in evolving the quality of their consciousness. They're aware, they're open, they're connected. Those are the people that this happens to. The people who are totally closed-minded and shut off, none of this ever happens to them. They just get along and they just get the usual feed, if you will. But persons of interest, which probably doesn't amount to more than, 10%, 5%, of the population. It's not the majority of people, are the searchers, the people who are struggling, the people who need some kind of confirmation, that sort of thing. So when, there's a lady who had a phone call from the mother who had just deceased like 10 days ago, and the phone rings, and the lady picks up the phone, and it's her mother. Why? Well, it wasn't that the deceased person found a payphone along the road to, to heaven or something, and they stopped and made a call. It was just put in that daughter's data stream just for her to have that experience, because she was very worried about, how's mom? Is she okay? Well, mom calls and says, I'm fine. That's all. So it happens. And yes, it can happen to you, probably has happened to you many times, because you've been a person of interest. You've been a person who's interested in growing and understanding for a long time. So sure, it happens. And to people of interest, it happens a lot. A lot of that synchronicity that happens to us, just a meaningful thing just for no particular reason pops into your reality. A lot of that is that way. It's a one-off, just for that person. And as long as there's nothing around, usually the story you get is, oh, I walked into the library and I looked down the aisle and there was this one book with a bright red cover and it was sticking halfway out. And I wondered, well, what's that? And I walked down and, okay, was there really a red book there? Was that just in that one person's mind? You see? It didn't mean that anybody else ever saw it. It doesn't mean that there physically actually even was ever a red book stuck out there. But they walk down and they grab hold of the red book, they pick it up and they look at it, and now they're back in the regular reality. But they got the book in their hands. They look at it and they see the little hole where it came out from, and they may stick it back in there. So lots of our synchronicity experiences are things that the system gives us. So you have to be open to, but skeptical of, everything that happens, and you'll never know exactly why that happened or how that happened or who made that happen. It may have just been circumstance, or it may be something just for your growth. So yes, reality can be very unusual at times. I mean, there's lots of stories that are very dramatic that you can hear, and because I'm one of the few people around that people feel comfortable telling me about their totally weird, crazy thing that happened to them, because I'm kind of totally weird and crazy anyway, so they can tell me, and they don't feel like I'm going to say, "Oh, you must be crazy." I give them some sense of how that could happen. So I hear a lot of very strange stories, and mostly from very straight people who are bright and intelligent and not on drugs, and they're very competent people, but they had experiences that just totally, how could that possibly be? It's impossible. The experience I had, just impossible. And it's not impossible. That just got put in your data stream, and that was your reality. So then we realize that what is reality? Reality is our interpretation of the data stream we get. That's it. There is no reality out there that exists independent of of us, independent of our data stream. Our reality is our interpretation of the data stream we get. It's not even the data stream we get. It's our interpretation of the data stream we get. And nothing more. And we all live in a little different reality.